Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Appreciate it as well. Shout out to the people that still continuously watch after all this time spent on the case. There's still been things to cover, stuff to talk about, even when things have felt kind of hopeless at times and it's like, oh, is it time to move on? Bang, suddenly something's happened. As of last night, one of the most successful videos in a while. It generated a few different video ideas, arguably significantly shorter, but still video coverage on the case. I'm going to try and incorporate them maybe in the next few days, right? I still want to do some Kenny Veach short videos, right? Maybe that's the best form of balance. Maybe I should have incorporated it much earlier on, but I didn't think. If I'm gonna focus on a certain case or a new one, instead of completely neglecting Kenny Veach M Cave during times of no breaking news, why not just do short videos summarizing or re-highlighting key moments from the past to gain new traction, gain new people, new interest, bring people in, bring people back, remind others, right? It's probably for the best. How would I do it though with those back then, which are like 1 hour long, 20 minutes? If it has to be done in a 30-second video, how do you do that? Maybe I just simply sit here, talk and narrate in 30 seconds and just get some photos from back then and say, on such and such a day when this hiker went out, this was found. Does anyone know? Leave your comments down below. Maybe I'll take that into mind. I could incorporate that down the line. The short videos aren't gaining much traction at this moment in time. They're gaining the same amount of views as my FIFA gameplay ones, so at least I can alternate between the two at least, while still spreading valuable, important awareness on matters of missing people, right? See what I can do. You know, interestingly, at least from what I can remember, I've really not uploaded many at all videos related to the Dylan Rounds case in the short format. Would it be worthwhile? Not at this point in time. Unless something very important is found, then maybe you could hint about it in a short. But as I said, this case is a bit more deeper. Might not be as mysterious, but more deeper. And whether or not progress is being made right now or it's reached a dead-end halt, which we will get into later during this debate, okay? Indiana, it's time. Get ready in the chat. Poems on hold, words at the ready, okay? Don't really make sense because a poem involves words, but then again, maybe a poem can involve wordless actions. A slap on the lap. There we go. A whack on the table. There goes the leg, breaking effortlessly. The table collapses and folds upon itself as Indiana rolls to the ground, unable to stop, bumps one's head, wakes up in China the next day. And that could all be told visually, just with photos. Amazing. Anyway, back to reality. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. I'm going to refer back to previous comments. I said, very important video last night. Anyone watching right now, if you didn't catch the last video, make sure to watch it after watching this. I'll provide a link down below in the pinned comment section, okay, for you to check, as well as some additional links too. Also, welcome back, shout out to Sheet Shu, returning once again. If people weren't aware, Sheet Shu, their YouTube account disappeared or was privatized, I guess taking a break or something with everything going on, and they've popped back up, so that's good. Their profile picture at this moment in time of speaking does look quite professional. Maybe it's the color, the tone, the ring outline around it, but it looks like high-end photography. High-end, speaking of high-end stuff, oh, better not use the word high-end because don't want to trigger any malls. No, not like that. As for Nance, yes, part 2. Matt Lingo, Matt Bingo Lingo, Dingo. Yeah, there'll be a follow-up. Org. Yeah, you're scuttling away in the corner, Org, laughing, giggling in the corner of the room. Don't think I'm not finished with you. Don't worry, Shrek. There'll be a time. You just better hope, Org, that the swamp doesn't dry up, because that'd be detrimental. Imagine the poor donkey. Not good. But yeah, it's funny how you just end up branching off with random stuff. But yeah, going to check back previous comments of last night's video to carry on from there with the Dylan Rounds case coverage. You know, see if there's any questions that need answering, any additional interesting information. We did see some new faces popping up last night. Someone called Corey, a few people called Mike popping up in recent time, and maybe some in other individuals. It is hard to remember everyone, of course, as maybe the more people that come, some that go, it does get a bit mixed. It gets a bit confusing. Tara is the most confusing individual out there with their, usernames on YouTube. Tara has gone through more YouTube usernames than Tasha T has with toothbrushes in a year. That's saying a lot, okay? So Tasha T, you must have some hard-wearing, hard-lasting toothbrushes, either JCB style or high-end London style toothbrushes. I know, to handle one strong presence, maybe. Well, yeah, Guidance has been a bit quiet recently, but maybe busy. Betty Hayward, just busy with the bakery. Also trying to find some owl patterned oven mitts. Whoa, hold that thought. We'll be getting more into that another day, okay? Just shh, for now, quiet about that, right? But yeah, once we've got through the comments with Dylan Rounds, I'm going to go on to the discussion, tying on with Indiana's point about, so what's really happened since, but then also what to expect next. Are we talking about that? If it feels like it runs a bit too short or a bit too dry, unlike Inky and her towels, then we'll go on to the maps if needed, okay, if necessary. So if everyone's ready, let's look at the comments and catch up with what's currently going on in the Dylan Rounds discussions. Right, I'll just arrange it to the newest. Start from the bottom, not too many. Indiana. Where are the police records in regard of Troy and Kurt? Check the responses. Ask Drama Queen. He's the one that started it. Who is the drama queen? Jim Terry. Indiana responds. Tom. The queen of drama is the overwhelmingly rude Jim Terry. So that's said by them. Okay. As a reference, when it comes to nicknames, you know who is who. Okay. Yeah, so where are the police records in regard of Troy and Kurt? Well, with the police, with that state they reside in, I guess, or nearby courts. Is it accessible online? As simple as that? Maybe. I would assume so, for sure. If you're from the US, I don't know about outside of the US. Been several times back then where maybe a file, a document, a news article may have been shared with me, or I came across it online, I clicked on it, and then it said, nope, due to legal reasons, due to being outside of the US, we can't display this to you. So, yeah, there are limitations. I do understand why, though. But maybe people from the US could check it out themselves, see what they can find. There was an answer, though, a reply in response to the arrest warrant of Kurt Wadsworth, and I guess we can get to that later on in this video if possible, okay? Make sure to hang around for that. We got Dinosaur Man, shout out to Dinosaur, recent new viewer, good profile picture, seems like a good individual up to now. Someone called Joe, shout out to Joe, new viewer, saying there's no way that fat old man did it by himself. Joe is referring to Jim Brenner, also known as James Brenner, the guy that's been charged with the murder and desecration of Dylan Rounds, if you didn't already know. And I think with time, a fair few people could agree in consensus and say that he couldn't have done it all by himself, yeah. I mean, if he did, it may have took significantly longer. Maybe for the first stage, whether it be a temporary disposure, concealing him somewhere, Dylan, could have been done by Brenner nearby. But as for further distance if reburied later could have had help to be able to transport Dylan, move him about, dig holes, etc. Because it can require some physical, right, work to do that type of stuff. And because Brenner is friends with Don, right, hanging out together even during and also mainly after the crime, it depends what Don knows and what Don has seen himself. If Brenner has asked for favours in the past, criminal or not, may have done the same once again with Don. Oh, could you help me out with this, Don? Could you come over? I need to show you something. Who knows? Could have all been discussed during the barbecue. You never know. Will we ever find out? You'd have to hear it from Don, I guess. What else, reply-wise? Who else do you think? I think Don. Let me know your thoughts. Anyone in the chat right now, if you believe that Brenner did have help, who do you think helped? Let me know. What else do we have here? We've got Without No Limits saying, this is the Heavy D Sparks video I mentioned to you during the chat. It is the one released early in the Dylan Rounds case back on June 8th, 2022. Yeah, I remember that one. Because before June 8th, you had June the 2nd. Well, obviously, but what I mean is June the 2nd being the spring cleaning, hence why the grain truck was left out, not parked back in the shed. So then came June the 8th, the flyby, and that's why it showed the grain truck outside of the shed, because a few days before that, Brenner did the spring cleaning and had to drive the truck out and didn't park it back. So just for context there. Yeah, interesting video. And you know what? We have referred back to it once, right, when it came to the key fob situation. No harm in looking back. I'll take a look at it, see what else I can find, if there is anything. Any wording, body language, unusual behaviour. It is pretty raw and fresh, with it being maybe the first documented footage of the area back then, arguably speaking. Yeah. Well, I know you can't play the footage on your channel, but if you want to talk about it, you can transcribe what they say or summarise it. They suspected that foul play was involved. What I will do, No Limits, I'll look back at the first video I did on the Heavy D footage and see if I used footage or not. If I did use footage, there was no problem, so maybe I can do it again, providing it's only small amounts, and I do credit the channel and provide a link to highlight them. Heavy D himself will do that, of course. Just see how it goes. If there is any problems or I've never done it before, there are ways around it. I could just simply get a screenshot of the video and then play the audio over it. Then it's more unique and edited, right? More individual. We'll just see how it goes. It could highlight something never seen before. Time will tell. What else? You don't need to include it in your next show if you don't want to. I was just pointing out that a YouTuber did find Jim and Don suspicious early in the Dylan Rounds case. Whilst the other YouTubers focused on Chase and Kurt, Heavy D did have the opportunity of meeting Jim and Don, so that also may be why he found them sketchy early in the case. Yeah, you never know. Whilst Heavy D might be a busy person, doing all kinds of stuff, he seems to make an impact, right, at times. The footage, the people he reaches out to, the networking, so he might have seen something no one else has saw. And with it being so early on and fresh, raw reactions at the time, possibly. But I will be including that footage or the talk about it soon. Got a couple of video ideas I need to get through. Do it in a certain order, so then it bounces off from one another, and then the flow is better and it's easier to understand, okay? I do need to do a video about Don. Notice some potential red flags. Could be a short video. I'm not decided yet whether to include it with this video idea on screen or separate them, because I know some people want shorter videos at times. I mean, I'd say if I'm really in a situation where there's like a very important point to pick up on, to cover and to show to the general public, then the video length will be shorter because it's more focused on one particular thing. And if there isn't really any add-ons, any additions like that, then yeah, short, straight to the point as best as one can. Maybe I can still incorporate the comments of a previous video though, to fill it out in the background and to allow people to carry on talking and reacting too. We'll see. You see those emojis? Why are the emojis of mine bigger? Why is my head bigger now than what it currently was? Huh. I mean, I guess they're easier and clearer to see now. Hopefully it stays like it. It does look better. I don't mean my face. I just mean the emojis in general. Skeptical returning back saying, sorry to give my 2 cents and I mean no disrespect. I believe Heavy D formed his own opinion because that was the information given by Candice Cooley. At the time, she had already dismissed Chase Venstra because she spoke to him. Heavy D at that time didn't know the characters. He took Candice Cooley's word for it, of course, formed the opinion that JB and DH are sketchy. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. First impressions, whoever you come across, someone like Heavy D is bound to listen to Candice Cooley for giving up her time, for being out there in the first place. On top of the fact that Candice Cooley's mother of Dylan Rounds, Heavy D, got to conduct things appropriately and maintain some form of healthy relations, right? So it doesn't go sour, it doesn't backfire. But maybe we can talk about it again down the line. Lance Kelly said, I don't know, it might have been in 2022 or early 2023 during a live stream. Lance Kelly said how Heavy D and the crew supposedly promised to assist and help Lance Kelly out once again on another hiking expedition, but it never happened. Why? I don't know. Is it because Candice Cooley, just in rounds, reached out to Heavy D and the crew and advised them not to interact with Lance Kelly or maybe Ty Corbin? You know, what's your thoughts about that? It went quiet. You know, what's Candice Cooley's view on Heavy D? Considering Candice Cooley doesn't like Ty Corbin or Lance Kelly, and yet Heavy D and his crew who interacted with Candice Cooley in the first place, then months later started helping out and assisting Lance Kelly, Ty Corbin, did Candice Cooley's views change on Heavy D? I wonder. We could do a poll right now about it, or a bit later, see what people think. And we can refer to it again if it's necessary, because not everyone remembers it all on the spot. You bring it up every now and then, you might get some new answers with time. So a fair comment by Skeptical. Kathy Waters. Now, you know, in the past, when I was referring to these comments, you had some people in the chat. I don't know if it was Stoney, if it was Eddie, if it was American Honey, if it was somebody else, whatever, saying that this Kathy Waters account is fake. I don't know, right? What's the response by her? I can't help look at that rope on your door. Why is it tied on the outside? I wonder why. Is it to keep people out? Or is it to make sure I don't escape? Ooh, will we ever know? Maybe. Maybe not. Anyway, let's check the responses. What else do we have? I remember it looked like a necktie in this other videos. People normally hang it around their door to let their housemates know not to disturb them when they are busy. I mean, a necktie or not, if you hear banging sounds or questionable moaning with the use of my vocal cord and abilities, I think that will be more than enough to keep people out, locked door or not. All under control, right? Kathy Waters responding, but if you look close, it ran from inside of the room to the outside. Yes, so you know it's down both sides. Cleo, I think I know. Warlike Wrath is suspicious. Badger Life, out of all the information you are focused on, the door in the background completely explains your thought patterns. Just saying. Okay. And Confluence, At least Kathy Waters stopped her communication in all capitals. I doubted her the minute she advocated for salty pancakes after what he did to a couple of us previous mods. All I would say, Confluence, the caps lock isn't that far away. It can still be initiated, just like the red button to initiate a nuke. You never know what might be coming, okay? When the caps are on, shit is going down. But that aside, Cleo, quality right there. Thank you. You're welcome. And look at the emoji. Have you seen how big it is? That massive rose. Just for context, that rose was taken by me, not on a proper camera. It was on my phone. There you go. Big emoji. You want some milk? Cleo, I'm trying to share the link. Airhead. Cleo. Anyway, good night. Airhead. What, like an airbag? I don't know. What does airhead mean? Big head, but nothing inside. I don't know. I've heard of it used at times. But it's easy, okay? It's somewhat easy. All you have to do, and can apply to anyone, you go on someone's channel, top corner of the screen on the left-hand side, you see the URL link, that bar that goes all the way across with the addressing or whatever you call it, HTTPS, whatever, and then name of channel. Copy and paste that in the comment section of your own video, pin it, and there you go, all done. What else? Cleo. Warlike Ref, do I allow all comments or hold for review? You have it all on, right? It's easier. If at any time you come across resistance or anything unnecessary, you can change it down the line. Cleo, I just don't get it, Ref. I followed directions you gave me. If it came to actual directions, which pathway or which road do I go down, that's not a good idea, because there was that time in the past where someone walked up to me and said, hey, what's down there? And I said, another road. Because that's what it was. It was a road leading to another road. What more do you want me to say? I may have said, oh, there's a roundabout and that's about it, but, just one of those things. But Cleo, it should be fairly easy to follow. Tom, today was an interesting chat. He means last night, if you're wondering. The new people in chat raised questions. What about Chase Venstra on the 27th? Where was the argument? And what was it over? Corey, we can't understand as we don't get the facts. I realise that you are close to some of the main characters, but this doesn't mean that you can drop something like this and then just say that I'm too stupid to understand. Just tell us the story and let me prove my stupidity. Fair point, fair point. This is the thing, you know, we can refer to this in another video down the line. As said, we've got to follow an order and pattern. We can't rush things. Other people rush things. It's led to confusion. 10-hour-long streams, no hallelujahs, no blessings, just sand rubbed in the eyes. Do you want that? No. Do you want sprinkles thrown in your mouth? Maybe, if Betty Hayward is serving them, but the shop is closed at this moment in time. So attention and focus is necessary, okay? But yeah, it is one of those things. It happened with the Kenny Veach case where some people might have popped in at a random point at time with their head so far rammed up the rear end, thinking they are it, that they know everything, but they fail to explain in depth or elaborate. They say they know it, and they may well do, but they just don't really explain. Is it because they feel like the people present aren't worthy of knowing the truth? You never know. Is it because they themselves are tired of saying the same thing over again, only to be ignored, forgotten, brushed aside by ignorant people out there? That's possible too, but at least here on this channel and the people present, pretty good people, it is under control. Things can be shared if one wants to and is in a position, and then it can be explained further and analysed. We see what happens with time, if the people pop back in. Responses watching now. Skeptical highlight, hi Warlike Wrath, I missed the live and chat, yes. As soon as they found Dylan's boots, both properties should have been treated as crime scenes and James Brenner taken in for questioning. He was conceivably the person to see Dylan. Ellie knew Dylan's last contact was calling KR, stating he was taking his grain truck. Okay. Anyone in the chat, if you're wondering what KR means, it means Karen Rounds. Karen Rounds being the grandmother of Dylan Rounds, okay? Stating he was taking his grain truck to the shed. His grain truck was there, his boots were there, his truck was there. Ellie should have done more. Yeah. Too little, too late. Is that the wording in a way? Missed opportunities and other things being neglected, which then led to it not being accessible anymore. I mean, some people could say, yeah, but it was kind of treated like a crime scene. No. If it was treated as a true crime scene, then the spring cleaning would never have happened. But because it did happen, it implies that the grain shed property, at least, was never truly treated as a crime scene. Because if it was, it would have been restricted and you wouldn't have been allowed access. So, main downfall to the police. And if the spring cleaning resorted to key evidence being removed, hell, even Dylan Rounds, you never know, then that's on the police, their fault, right? That's one of the first problematic things that happened. 2nd of June, that early on in the case. But then again, you can argue that a couple of days before that, 31st of May, when the hostage situation, the call made by Kurt Wadsworth and family hearing about it, Canis Cooley Justin telling the LE and LE saying, right, good luck, you go down, we're not going to bother. They did in the end, but their attitude initially wasn't too good. And then followed by allowing spring cleaning. Yes, it is on the police in the early days. Maybe down the line, there's been other factors as well, but at the very beginning, when it was fresh, it was raw, active, all kinds of possibilities and opportunities wasted because of the LE. That's a fact, right? Unless there's some alternative stories which suggest the police aren't to blame as much, but not really heard them, right? Just going off from what we've heard with time. What else do we have? Skeptical, I believe Ellie, along with family, found the boots. I believe that too, yeah, as we're walking along, searching the area. Both trucks should have been taken in. The family should not have been allowed to take the pickup truck. Now, I thought at least one of the trucks was taken in and tested in the labs because that's where they came across that DNA inside of the grain truck, at least. As for the other one, I don't think that was assessed. Angelina, too hot to think. Why are you hot? Not in that sense. Oh, shit, I've dug myself into a hole there. Do you need a towel to cool yourself off? A cold towel with some ice, maybe, because of the weather? Jacqueline, the personal truck could have had Dylan's body in the back. His DNA was likely hosed away when it was pressure washed. Fair enough, if it was pressure washed, let's say, first of all. But if Dylan was in the back of the truck, wouldn't he have been exposed if being driven around? Or would like a tarp or some kind of sheeting covered over Dylan so it didn't look too obvious? But then again, where was that concealment, that material, where was that taken? Do you think when if Dylan Rounds was buried in the ground, was he wrapped up in cloth or not? Or wrapped up in a carpet? Either as a form of extra concealment or to make it easier to carry. You know, if you wrap someone up in cloth or a towel and carry it by that, the end piece. Let me know your thoughts. Bit of a weird question, but just want to know what people are thinking, okay? Sunny, here we go. Indiana, interesting night again. We are getting nowhere. See you all on August 14th, Brenner's next court date. Yes, see you there, Indiana, but you're not running away anytime soon. Get back right now, Indiana. Indiana, get here right now. The class has not ended. What's the responses? Where? Well, we'll be explaining that very shortly. Christy, it would be so helpful to have a sort of press conference for Dylan. They do it for every missing person. I can't understand why they didn't do it for Dylan. There must be something they don't tell us. I mean, for the police, the LE, not to treat the scene of the crime as a true crime scene to begin with, it's no surprise why they didn't do a press conference either. If they're incompetent in one area, they're probably going to be incompetent in the other area. Just my thoughts, though. Okay. Would they do one now? Probably not. They've not done a press conference, but they did one press release, and I think that was after the 3rd of March 2023 when Brenner was officially charged, okay, with Dylan's death. Response: exactly right. And Jacqueline, with regard to Wadsworth's warrant, could Brenner have talked? Well, you never know. You never know. Yeah, if things have gone on in the background. But anyway, let's just focus back. I think we should continue with on that because I said I was going to look at a potential comment. So yeah, regards to Wadsworth's warrant, I don't think it does apply to Brenner and possibly have an explanation why. Let's refer back to last night. So there's a screenshot or there's a photo or something I took in response to one of the comments regarding the warrant, what it was actually all about. Let me share that with you now. Okay, so what you're seeing on screen right here, right now, is from last night's video, hence why it was quite important. New people popping on in. Shout out to Modest Man and Corey LeBur, however you say the person's name. Key individuals involved in the Dylan Rounds case in some way or another with either information they know of or the location they have searched in, such as Modest Man, supposedly, well, Modest Man himself being present at the Grainshed property back then, at the time with Glorindellen and Salty Pancakes. We've seen that footage, still on Glorindellen's channel in case you wanted to see the footage in general, okay? I've done analysis videos too. Modest Man, feel free, if you are watching right now, Modest Man, to check back on my channel. Look at some of my older videos I have done when I covered and analysed that footage and screenshots by Salty Pancakes of the area and that trip out there, and let me know your thoughts on the matter, whether you agree or disagree. Because one thing I do need to ask, and I don't know if you will hear this, if anyone in the chat can pass the question message on to Modest Man, is previously, when we were looking at Glorindellen's footage, which I assume same time with Modest Man being out there, Glorindellen walked near to the dirt mound, and just in front of it there was a couple of flies. I don't know if that means anything. And there was like a box buried in the ground, half buried, and it was trying to understand, was it a shoe box or something else? Has it got anything to do with Dylan's boots? Something he bought and the box was dumped back out there? You get what I'm saying? Maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. That's why it's probably best to look back at my previous video and see what you think. And if that isn't successful, if I do come across Modest Man again, I'll just simply provide the link, okay? Whatever works best. I want to know your thoughts, okay? But the reason why we're here on screen is to do with explaining and revealing the likelihood of what the arrest warrant was on Kurt Wadsworth, okay? Now on screen, Modest Man says, can we search warrant records and find out what the warrant was for? Corey responds back and says, it's on Pilot Road, on Troy and Kurt's property. Kurt's and Troy's arrest warrant is because of gunplay at against the Lee brothers for moving a mobile home that is Kurt's. So Kurt Wadsworth owns a mobile home. Is a mobile home basically an RV trailer? Something like that. Is it Kurt Wadsworth's only mobile home, or does he own multiple? Feel free to answer if possible. We heard about gunplay being talked about on Bob Farrell's channel. Was it so much gunplay or more so walking around parading with firearms? It can differ, right? Gunplay, you could suggest maybe firing shots, warning shots, parading around with firearms is just holding them in your hand and doing nothing more with them. Story kind of differs, doesn't it? Bob Farrell previously pointed out possibilities, pointed out that Kurt Troy, together with firearms, met up or was in the presence of somebody else, and that somebody else reported them. So does that tie in with what Bob was talking about there? He was referring to the Lee brothers, but without the true context. Possibly. Everyone in the chat right now, feel free to focus. Leave your thoughts, opinions, reactions. I know some people out there will be thinking, how does Corey know? Who is Corey? Me personally, never come across them before. They're a new viewer on the channel from the looks of it, unless they were watching in the background in the past. A few people added some comments in for context reasons in the chat last night, saying that Corey is the wife of John Sheldon, supposedly. John Sheldon being an individual out there within the area that was friends with Dylan Rounds and I guess interacted with Dylan at some point or another, right? I've heard of John Sheldon's name mentioned in the past. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, a parcel of land of the Grangeshed property, parcel of land on the Grangeshed property owned by John Sheldon, as well as some other people. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did Dylan Rounds ever do custom farm work for John Sheldon or anything like that? Feel free to fill in the gaps if you're able to down below in the chat or comment section, right? Yeah. Saying Pilot Road, Troy and Kurt's property. Right. But then it says Kurt's and Troy's arrest warrant is because of gunplay against the Lee brothers. I don't know who the Lee brothers are, but I guess Montello locals, for moving a mobile home that is Kurt's. Why were the Lee brothers moving Kurt's RV trailer? Is it because they were trying to steal it? And the gunshots, if there were gunshots, were done as like a warning. Hey, back off, stop taking our stuff. And then what? Lee brothers reported him to the police. Potential burglary, potential theft, and then calling out the others for retaliating. Who started it first? Well, from here, it looks like the Lee brothers. Is this 100% the true story? Up to now, I guess so. If there's anyone present that has conflicting stories, let me know what you know of in the chat and see if we can find some middle ground, okay? Modest Man says, depending on where the warrant out, or if it's out in Nevada, in Utah, but it's a warrant public records as far as I know. Okay, fair enough. Now, if Kurt Wadsworth does get apprehended and Troy by police, what happens to them? Do they get sent to prison, jail? How severe would it be? Does it take into account their past trouble with the law, let's say? Let me know your thoughts down below, right? But, as said, this supposedly happened before Dylan Rounds went missing. So why has it taken this long then? Can anyone explain? But all in all, if this really did happen exactly, then obviously it's not linked to the Dylan Rounds case, despite what other people may say, right? The only other alternative I heard by someone in the chat last night stating that Kurt Wadsworth was driving without a license, and that's all it was. Doesn't sound as bad, right? But then when we look at this, a bit more severe. So who's telling the true story, right? As said, if you're coming across these people for the very first time, there is a level of caution, right? You listen, you take it in, but maybe not fully internalize until a certain point, okay? So hopefully people that are watching right now don't get triggered or feel insulted by this response, right? We need to follow some form of formal procedures, just like how I've always done previous, because it works and it's under control. Now, Corey said she's tired of misinformation. She's tired of everything going on in the case. Corey, it's all under control here. We go through things bit by bit, whether it's truth or BS, but it's worded in an appropriate way. When we're talking about theories, which may not be proven at the time with facts, we literally regard to them as theories and ideas and nothing more, possibilities, etc. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense there. Just wanted to share this with you. Anyone in the chat, if you're familiar with Corey, leave your thoughts down below, your responses, right? Do you agree with this? Believe in it? Is it 100% true? Any inaccuracies? Add that on if so, if necessary. Yeah. Well, with that aside, maybe that clears it up, provides a bit more context, hopefully. Let me know if you've learned anything new up to now. I think it now ties on with things we've learned about, even though Indiana says we've not really got anywhere. But then again, that's to do with Dylan Rounds. This isn't really to do with Dylan Rounds, technically speaking. But it has cleared up misinformation within the case, moving it aside. So that is some success. Anyway, Indiana, it's time to look back at your point. So Indiana's point about see you 14th of August for Brenner's next court hearing, whatever it is, right? I get that. It's the next upcoming official event. It could follow with maybe another news report, interview coverage on the case. I would say so. I'll make a little prediction right here, right now regarding it, okay? Before it happens on the 14th of August, on the 1st of August is Dylan Round's birthday. So there could be some little acknowledgement, most likely on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. I predict that either Justin, Candice Cooley, both or separately will post photos in Dylan's memory acknowledging his birthday, looking back at previous photos, that type of stuff. Few prayers and wishes, post made by people, few more sunflowers and that type of stuff. What about news articles? Interviews? I'm not sure. News articles could be the odd independent one highlighting his birthday, saying it's been this long since being missing and presumed dead, etc., right? There could be a small chance of some kind of news coverage, whether it be East Idaho news or not. Because I'm just thinking that if on the 14th of August, you've got Brenner's next court hearing and Dylan's birthday is before that, but they're close together in a way, could there be an interview in between which says, oh yeah, to acknowledge Dylan's birthday, things still ongoing, etc., etc., and on top of that, we've got the court hearing coming up soon. We'll see how that goes. There could be a bit of acknowledgement, right? That's my prediction there, okay? Let's see how it goes. As for the court hearing itself, is it really that important, like breaking news type stuff? Is it the next piece of information we hear from which then reveals everything? I don't think so. Because I've not really got into the true layers and depth of this case, have they? They're still messing about, fiddling around with all the more basic stuff, the attorneys, who's been appointed and who's left, back forth there. So is the next court hearing along that lines? Still not getting into the main official part of the case. Let me know down below, right? Sometimes it gets a bit hard to follow when it's dragged out for so long and delayed and delayed and delayed. You forget where you're at times, right? If it is the full depth, the beginning, that's great. If not, it's like, don't get your hopes up too high, right? Now, working backwards from that, for many months, a level of silence. You could argue the likes of No Thanks, Doug, his level of silence, because obviously channel terminated for certain reasons, right? If he was still around, he may have done an interview with Candice Cooley here and there. That could have filled in the void, I guess. But then again, there was no interview for some time, and when one was promised, it never followed through. So unless there was tension and friction building up in the background, which then led to no more interviews with the two, yeah, makes you think. But that aside, yes, it's been quiet. Officially, it's been quiet. Facebook page, it's been quiet. News-wise coverage, it's been quiet. If you look back at the last news coverage, it was 1 month ago. And even before that 1 month, it was still quiet. That's just how it's been, is what it is, right? Was it 1 month ago? There was that last court hearing. July. Or was it June? June or July? What are we on now? July. 1 month ago, June the 5th. Boom! I think I might be remembering stuff. Miracle. June the 5th was that court hearing of Brenner when he limped and struggled into the room in his chains. Candice Cooley just in saying he was acting and playing it on, so people feel sorry for him. Then the next court hearing was going to be the next month, July 31st. Never happened. Pushed back till August 14th. Will that happen? Will it? Don't know. Guess time will tell. So there could be more disappointment there. Okay? So that's how it's been officially. But what about, aside from the background area, what about the general public? At least the on top of the surface with the case. Have we got anywhere? Have we made any progress? In the eyes of Indiana, no. No progress made. Nothing good done. That's it. Fair enough. Yeah. It depends at the end of the day, because it does come down to opinion. Sorry, Indiana, I'm not grabbing your head. I'm just tilting the camera. Sorry, Indiana. I'll let go. But no, I think it does come down to opinions on what people perceive as progress and what others see as not progress, right? In my opinion, and I'll share that with you now and you can respond down below, the way I visualize progress can be big or small. If there is some kind of movement forward, some kind of clarity established, or some kind of new development, that is progress. Whether it be progress in clearing up trash, BS, misinformation, progress in debunking stuff pre-existing, progress made in new people coming on into the case or community, sharing their thoughts, ideas, progress. Progress in terms of new events or past events coming into play and hearing about it for the first time on my channel, a form of progress in the case. New perspectives, new ideas, new videos generated from last night, I consider that progress. Getting closer to the case, understanding it a little bit better day by day, and clearing up the dodgy stuff in the background at the same time, that's progress. In terms of getting closer to finding Dylan's remains, yes, you can argue, Indiana, no progress made there on the outer surface. On the inside, who knows what's happened? Sometimes silence is a good thing. They might be onto something. Other times, though, not so good. Could be that just because there isn't much going on. Guess it just depends how you interpret it, right? People in the chat, let me know your thoughts to what you think. Do you think any progress has been made? Can do it as a poll, I guess. Could be yes, progress made directly in the case. No progress whatsoever. Some progress made, such as in the community. Got an itchy eye. Feel free to vote right now, okay? I don't want to rub too much because it can impact the eye. Got to do it gentle. My hands are not gentle, so that's not good. There we go. Was there anything else to add on? It's been pretty straight to the point. I think it's been pretty straight to the point, and that's kind of a miracle itself, me being able to do that. I think Indiana is looking more towards the official news and coverage, which I can understand. Maybe Indiana is anticipating the next lot of news and coverage and progress to be of August 14th, but I'm not getting my hopes up too high. It could be delayed further, or it could still be just the beginning stages, which doesn't really get into much of the case itself, right? In my opinion, okay? Do you know what? Aside from whether progress has been made or not, is there any areas where it's felt like progress has gone backwards? What's the word for that? Progress lost? Unturned? Something like that? I don't know. You could apply it in the past, examples such as events, moments what we supposedly knew of or were told back then came a different story after, which told the opposite. And then it's like, oh, so what we've listened to all this time wasn't true, so we've kind of gone back on ourselves to the beginning, square A. Is it square A? No. Back to square one. Square A. What am I doing? Little letters and number blocks. Oh my god. Right, so it's back to square one. That's the saying. Okay. Has that happened in the past? For sure. Has it happened there in recent time? I don't think so. I'd say we made progress in the past when understanding the weather patterns of the area. Sometime in June, covering the flooding in Lucin, Utah, which could have been detrimental to certain evidence in the wash, let's say, if things were washed away. You never know. Never acknowledged by anybody else. Arguably that within the last few months, there's been coverage on my channel which no other channel out there has ever talked about, which is unfortunate. It's also led to many people not knowing about it. But then again, if people have walked away from the case, they're just not going to really know much at all, are they? As for updates. But I'll just give you like 2 examples on the spot, okay? Was it May? It will be May. Before Dylan's anniversary, the 1-year anniversary, May, was it May 21st? 21st of May? It could have been 21st of May. If so, it was a Sunday in May, when some person, a part of the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page in the community, reported seeing some people present in Lucin near to the pond because they themselves were present down there for whatever reason. Candice Cooley responded, saying yes, it was her, somebody else, and a few others. And 1 hour before that, there was a sheriff in the area as well. What was that to do with? No idea. It was never really explained or elaborated, so it could have been something very important. You never know. Near to the pond, what were they doing? What did they find? Never talked about public, no updates given. Yeah, I was the only one to document it and question it on YouTube. Not a single person has talked about it. May 21st, Sunday, Candice Cooley, some additional family members maybe, and a police sheriff or so in the area. What were they doing? No one else has talked about it. And then June, around June time, the flooding, told by one of the Montello locals with their photos of what's happened, as well as how it's impacted Lucin by somebody else that shared from their travels out there. Important, once again, how it can impact evidence. Not a single person talked about flooding in Lucin regarding to the Dylan Rounds case. No other channels, only me. So, stamina wars, people have lost stamina with time. I've maintained it in a way, which has then led to me covering stuff which no one else has covered because they either don't know about it or they're just not around to cover it. So progress has been made there. All forms of progress has been made, but I think in the eyes of Indiana, she's straight to the point and is saying, has Dylan been found yet? Yes, no. Are we any closer to that? Yes, no. And it seems like no. But in terms of understanding the story, the backstory of the case, Dylan Rounds leading up to it, progress has been made to an extent. And the BS and just useless stuff, which has clogged up everything and created noise, unnecessary distractions, progress has been made clearing that up along the way too. So it's not been a complete disaster, okay? Now, was there anything else to highlight? I think this video has gone on long enough, to be fair. Enough time for people to chat. I think we'll leave it there for now. We can do maps another day when we're not as focused, okay? And hopefully people did learn something today. found it interesting, leave comments down below as well as questions, and as well make sure to catch up, check out my latest previous video I did, which was just as important. Okay, for now, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, goodbye and good night.